So I started out film school. That's what I kind of decided that I wanted to do, get into film. And then whilst I was at film school, we were kind of cutting, this is like in the late 90s, early 2000s, we were cutting film on actual strips with razor blades. And they said, oh, this is going to be outdated by the time, you're in the workplace. So I said, why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. So I swapped over to it's called a digital media course, which was basically film, but with cameras. But I actually, from there, kind of got more into the post-production side and actually got more into 3D. And then back then it was getting into doing interactive pieces, but it was making CD-ROMs using Macromedia Director, which was really back in the day. So did that, and then after that I kind of left university and actually got into the ad industry, I was kind of focusing on design, not so much 3D. I was kind of more trying to like wonder how I was going to kind of get a job in the industry, so in the creative industry and somewhat in London in the UK. So I worked at an ad agency, and then just over the years worked my way up, and then brought 3D into the mix of them using it, and then kind of built up a department within the agency using 3D. And then about 10, 11 years ago, I left that company and set up my own company with a couple of guys in London, doing digital production for lots of different agencies in London, basically like whitelisted agencies. And then up to a few years ago, because I met my wife is from Boston originally, so we met in London, and we got married when I moved to the US about 4 years ago. And now I work remotely. Obviously, with the pandemic, work-wise, I was lucky that it didn't affect me because, I'd already been working remotely with the office in London already for 2 years before this happened. So I've kind of just carried on. I've been doing a lot of Zoom calls for many years. And then last year, I kind of got introduced. I was contacted by a rival to Makersplace to take part in doing some NFTs, and I had no idea what it was. I kind of just took it as being like a job, like any other job. I said, okay, I'll make, and actually it was my first drop was actually tea related. I did a series of teapots. So I did a series of teapots. It's for Nifty Gateway, so that was the thing. So and then they obviously all sold, and I was just completely floored as to like, oh, this is crazy. I did this work, I did something fun, I did something I enjoyed, and I got paid for it, rather than obviously someone telling me what to do and then paying for it. So then that's where my journey started. And then over the last year, I've been that first drop. I wasn't 100% sure what NFTs were. There was no roadmap, there was no Genesis piece or anything like that, because it was just wasn't as big as it is now. Now I've just kind of been focused on like, okay, I'm going to like spend more time on the artwork and making it better, improving myself, and hopefully people come along on the journey, and I want to raise the value of the pieces for those people that have now invested in my work, that have liked what I do. And then that led on to obviously doing this with Reed, which was part of like, let's do something that's kind of a step up from what I've done before anyway. So that brings us to now.
And now is an amazing time to be in, because we have you both here. So that's an amazing journey, and like starting in the film industry, and like having the example of like cutting up the film with the razors, to now here you're actually creating these digital pieces of art that collectors are able to interact with without having to in your case like work with the physicals as much. Like, this is an interesting transition.
Yeah, I love. I think over time, I've kind of, with our production company, we had a period of time where we actually had a cameraman, and we would do a lot of video and editing and all sorts of stuff, and do lots of like mixed media pieces, a lot of online and digital outdoor advertising, having like a mix of video, 3D, and animation. And that's what I like doing the most. But I kind of haven't, obviously with the pandemic, filming's kind of become more difficult. So everything's a lot more animation led, but doing filming's obviously quite expensive as well. So profit wise, you don't actually get much out of the end of it. Maybe when we weren't doing it right, but you know, I much prefer, you know, sitting in front of the computer and creating something from scratch.
Yeah, I think I definitely followed it much like farther behind Perry, that's for sure. Definitely wasn't cutting film with my hands.
Yeah, that just shows how old I am.
Yeah. Yeah, so I went to film school too, and always kind of wanted to do something more like on the graphic side. And I was probably your worst film student ever. Who slept through all of those classes and everything like that. But honestly, in our day and age now, it's like you didn't really need to go to the history of film or anything like that. It didn't really like help me, you know, get to where I'm at. And then so everyone kind of wanted to, you know, be a writer or director. And I was just like, all right, well, good luck with that. And then I just decided to teach myself 3D while I was going to school, and kind of like where it landed me at this point. Actually, like my first job was to help facilitate working on like deep fakes when they were first coming out. So I was making a bunch of like random test footage for the computers to kind of like detect where the errors were within the footage. And then that kind of made me get excited about 3D because I was kind of sick of After Effects after a little while. And just started teaching myself 3D and started posting every single day back in like 2018. And like a couple of like the reposting Instagram pages, like If You High, started reposting my stuff, and that's kind of where I gained the following. And then I haven't been like super deep in the NFT world, and I'm excited to collaborate with Perry, you know, and start to get my feet wet within the NFT world. So yeah, a lot of my stuff is pretty random.